Have you ever wondered what happens when the person who once had all your attention suddenly realizes you're no longer there? The one who acted as if your love and loyalty were infinite, as if you were nothing more than a pawn in their game. They took your kindness for granted, assuming you would always be there no matter how many times they crossed the line. But then one day, you decide that enough is enough. You stop allowing your value to be defined by their actions, and you walk away. You reclaim your energy, and for the first time in a long time, you focus on yourself. Now imagine the moment they realize you're no longer standing in the shadows, waiting. You've exited the stage, and without you, the show can't go on. The power they once held has slipped through their fingers. They're confused, unsure of how to deal with the silence you've left behind. Picture this. You were always the one who reached out, the one who cared more, the one who tried to keep everything together. But one day, you choose yourself. You start investing in your own growth, becoming the person you've always wanted to be. At first, they don't notice the change. They think you'll come running back like before, but over time, they begin to feel your absence, and reality hits them hard. You're no longer at their beck and call, and that's when the panic sets in. But here's the thing. It's not about playing mind games or seeking revenge. It's about realizing your own worth and deciding that your peace is worth more than someone who never valued it in the first place. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful move you can make is walking away and letting them experience life without you. Welcome to Stoic Journey. Today, we'll dive into the ripple effect that occurs when you decide to prioritize yourself. Each step we'll discuss will show how shifting your focus inward can send shockwaves to those who never thought you would leave. We'll explore how they move from indifference to regret, all because you finally chose yourself. Before we go any deeper, if you find this message valuable, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe. This small action not only supports this channel, but also reinforces your commitment to this journey of self-growth. And remember, when you contribute positively to your environment, that energy comes back to you tenfold. Number 1. Initial shock, their confusion, your resolve. When they try to grasp this new reality, they're shocked by a disturbing truth. You're no longer predictable or easily available. It's like a missing piece in their daily routine, something they once relied on without even thinking. You were always the one initiating contact, making plans, and keeping the connection alive. But now, you've stepped back, no longer filling their days with messages or attention. Instead, they're left with an unfamiliar void they can't quite comprehend. Imagine them sitting there, scrolling through their phone, wondering why you haven't reached out like before. Questions start flooding their mind. What happened? Did I miss something? Have I lost control over them? This confusion is the first taste they've had of being on the other side, no longer in control of the dynamic. It hits them like a storm they never saw coming. They may even begin overanalyzing every past interaction, searching for clues to explain this shift. While they're puzzled, you remain steadfast in your decision. You've consciously chosen to prioritize yourself, stepping back so they can experience life without your constant presence. You're no longer freely giving your time, energy, and attention because you've realized your own worth. This isn't about playing mind games or manipulating their emotions. It's about recognizing your value and acting accordingly. You've always been like a lighthouse, a steady and reliable source of light guiding them. But now, that light has dimmed, leaving them to navigate on their own. They never realized how much they depended on your presence until it disappeared. Now, they're struggling to find direction, faced with the uncomfortable reality that they no longer have the certainty and guidance they once took for granted. During this time, they may begin reaching out to mutual friends or scrolling through your social media, desperately seeking answers. They might ask others if they've noticed a change in you, hoping for some clarity. But no matter where they turn, the answers they seek remain elusive. This isn't something they can easily fix with an apology or a quick conversation. It's a shift that has occurred within you, a fundamental change in how you value your presence and what you're willing to give. Meanwhile, you stand firm and resolute. You've chosen to focus on your own path, to grow in ways that don't rely on their approval or validation. You've embraced the power of your own presence and realized that your worth isn't diminished just because they failed to appreciate it. As you withdraw your attention, you gain a clearer understanding of what you want from life and relationships, and you also give them the chance to truly understand the value of what they've lost. The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still." This is the moment you master yourself, rising above the confusion and uncertainty they're experiencing. You've stepped out of the role they assigned to you, no longer playing the part they cast. Now, you're defining your own path, and with that comes a new strength they can't quite comprehend. They begin to realize they no longer have the same influence over you, and it leaves them feeling insecure. They were used to having you there, meeting their needs, and following the script they had written. But now, you've taken control, writing your own story, and they're struggling to keep up with the changes. As they start to understand that you've stopped dancing to their tune, you affirm your decision with simple, powerful words. "I've cut the strings." This is your declaration. You're no longer bound by their expectations or playing a supporting role in their life. You've reclaimed your power, and it's time for them to see that you're not just a character in their story, you're the main character in your own. And that's a role worth embracing. In this new chapter of life, you're the one writing the script. The story you're creating is one of strength, resilience, and unshakable self-worth. This journey isn't just about them realizing they've lost you. It's about you realizing what you've gained. You've gained clarity, strength, and the freedom to live life on your terms. You're no longer tied down by their needs or defined by their expectations. You are free to be yourself, pursue your passions, and build a life that is truly your own. Number 2, denial. Their hope, your strength. All right, everyone, let's talk about what happens after that initial shock, when they typically fall into the denial phase. This is the stage where they convince themselves that your distance is only temporary, that it's just a glitch, and soon enough, things will go back to how they were. They might believe that you're simply busy with something else, or that eventually you'll return and give them the attention they've grown so accustomed to. That's their hope. They refuse to accept the new reality, that your focus has shifted away from them. Picture this. They keep glancing at their phone, waiting for that usual message from you, the one that never missed a beat. Days go by, but they still hold on to the belief that it's only a matter of time before everything snaps back into place. This denial becomes their coping mechanism, a shield against the uncomfortable truth that your priorities have changed. In their mind, they might rationalize your silence, thinking maybe you're playing some kind of game, or that this is a test of some sort. But somewhere beneath the surface, that small voice of doubt begins to grow, a quiet fear that things may not go back to normal after all. And while they sit in this limbo, clinging to the hope of returning to the past, you're busy cultivating something far more valuable: your inner strength. You've made the deliberate choice to step back, to invest in your own happiness, your own growth, and it's a decision you're no longer willing to compromise on. This is where your transformation shines the brightest. You're no longer the person bending to their every mood shift. You've grown into someone who stands firm in your choices. While they wait, holding on to the hope that you'll come back, you're moving forward, your eyes fixed on your own journey, not looking back. And that, right there, is the power of your absence. It's not about disappearing or severing ties completely. It's about showing that your presence was always a choice, not a guarantee. That's where your real strength lies. So, as they persist, thinking you'll come back like you always did, this is the perfect time to remind yourself of the power you've built. My absence speaks louder than words. This is your moment to show that your value isn't tied to your availability. It's about understanding that your worth comes from within, not from how often you show up for others. Let your silence do the talking. Let them realize that the person they once took for granted has become someone who no longer needs their validation. Before we move on to the next emotional stage they might go through, a stage that might surprise you even more. Let me know your thoughts. What are you thinking right now? Drop your questions in the comments, and I'll be here to guide you through this experience. Number 3. Curiosity, their intrigue, your confidence. Curiosity isn't just about where you are or what you're doing. It's about why. Why have you changed? Why aren't you as accessible as you used to be? Picture this. They're scrolling through their phone, realizing it's been a while since they've heard anything from you. They might check your social media, searching for clues. They'll see your posts, but instead of finding answers, they'll just have more questions. Why haven't you reached out? Are you happier now? Have you moved on? Curiosity has a way of growing into something bigger, a near-silent obsession, as they start piecing together your life without them in it. While they're trying to figure out what's going on, they get stuck in a loop, wondering if you've truly moved forward. Meanwhile, you're focusing on yourself, letting your confidence build. Your world has shifted. You're no longer the one who's always ready to answer texts or calls. Instead, you've become someone who understands the value of your own time and energy. You're choosing to focus on your own happiness, your own growth. And that shift is noticeable, not just to them, but to everyone around you. Think of this. Have you ever seen someone who used to rely on others suddenly thrive on their own? They start hitting the gym, picking up new hobbies, maybe even traveling to places they've always wanted to go. It's like they've unlocked a whole new version of themselves, one that's confident, fulfilled, and full of purpose. That's you. Your life no longer revolves around someone else's attention, and that confidence is magnetic. As their curiosity about your distance grows, you stay steady in your newfound confidence. This isn't about playing games or making them jealous. It's about living your authentic life, your way. And with each step forward, your confidence only deepens. This newfound strength isn't about proving a point to anyone else. It's about proving something to yourself. You realize that your worth was never tied to someone else's validation. You don't need their attention to feel whole. You're enough just as you are. And realizing that, that's powerful. Oscar Wilde once said, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." This phase of your journey is exactly that. You're embracing that self-love and self-worth, finding joy in your own growth instead of seeking completion from someone else. You've rewritten the narrative. The person who once needed someone's approval to feel validated is now thriving in their own space, with or without external validation. Meanwhile, as they watch from the sidelines, trying to figure out what's changed, your confidence keeps you grounded. You've broken free from the cycle of needing their attention. Instead, you're living with purpose, joy, and strength, knowing you're on the right path. And that's where true confidence lies, knowing you're enough without needing anyone else to confirm it. This is the moment where you reaffirm your inner power and say, "My absence will speak volumes." You've found your center, and nothing can shake that. You're no longer playing by anyone else's rules. You're writing your own story. And that, my friend, is where true confidence thrives. While they remain curious, maybe even wishing things could go back to the way they were, you're thriving. You're not looking back because you've discovered that the greatest love story is the one you have with yourself. Number 4. Desperation or walking away. Their reaction, your response. When desperation hits, you might notice a significant shift in their behavior. They could start sending you message after message, calling unexpectedly, or even showing up unannounced. These actions, driven by fear and insecurity, are their last attempt to regain the relationship that once seemed so easy. This is a classic example of someone realizing the value of what they had only when it's slipping away. Take a common scenario. Imagine a partner who has grown complacent in the relationship, always assuming you'd be there no matter how much they neglected your feelings. But once you step back, the sudden distance jolts them awake. In their panic, they might send long, emotional messages or make promises they've never kept before. They may even shift their entire attitude, going from distant to clingy, doing everything they can to pull you back into their orbit. But this is where your response becomes crucial. While the temptation to react immediately can be strong, especially out of compassion or nostalgia, it's important to remain calm. Their desperation often reflects their own insecurities, not necessarily a sign of real growth or personal change. If you react impulsively, you risk undoing all the progress you've made in reclaiming your own power. This is when you need to maintain your boundaries. Remember, your decision to step back wasn't about punishing them. It was about respecting your own needs. So if you choose to engage, do it from a place of strength. Make it clear that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. You've come a long way, and it's essential to uphold the standards you've set for yourself. On the other hand, there's also the possibility that instead of fighting for you, they might choose to walk away. This can be just as difficult to handle, especially if you were hoping they'd realize your worth and fight for the relationship. When they decide to step away, it might feel like a painful confirmation that the bond wasn't as strong as you believed. For example, think of a long-term friendship that has grown distant. After months of being the one who initiates, you decide to step back. Instead of reconnecting, your friend lets the relationship fade. That's painful, especially if part of you hoped they'd make an effort. When they choose to leave, you're left feeling a sense of loss, and maybe even second-guessing your decision. But here's an important truth. Their decision to leave doesn't reflect your value. It's simply where they are on their own journey. Accepting that someone might walk away can be tough, but it's a necessary part of growth. Not everyone is meant to stay, and that's okay. This is the time to reaffirm your commitment to yourself, reminding yourself that your worth isn't dependent on whether someone chooses to stay or go. If they walk away, It's not because you weren't enough. It's because the relationship has served its purpose, and now it's time to let go. This is your opportunity to fully embrace your independence, to trust that you made the right choice for your happiness. You've gained clarity, and that clarity is worth far more than holding on to something that no longer serves you. In both cases, whether they're desperately trying to pull you back or choosing to leave, the key is to stay true to yourself. You've made the difficult decision to step back and focus on your own growth. Now is the time to honor that choice and stand firm in your resolve. Whether they fight for the relationship or let go, your response must always come from a place of self-respect and strength. This is the moment to reaffirm to yourself, "My absence will speak volumes." This is a powerful reminder that your worth isn't tied to someone else's reaction, but is something you carry within yourself, no matter what happens next. So when they act, whether in desperation or by walking away, you remain steady, knowing you've made the right choice for yourself. You're no longer defined by their actions or reactions, but by the clarity and confidence you've built for yourself. And that, my friends, is the true power of stepping back and letting your absence speak for itself. Number 5. Longing for the past, their nostalgia, your perspective. As time passes, after the waves of reflection and regret have hit, a new emotion begins to emerge, a longing for the past. This is when they start to feel a deep nostalgia, a yearning for the time when everything seemed simpler, when your presence was a constant in their life. But this longing isn't just about missing you. It's about missing the comfort, the routine, and the connection they once took for granted. Imagine this. They're sitting alone, perhaps scrolling through old photos or replaying conversations in their head. Suddenly, all those little moments, the laughter, the late-night talks, the inside jokes only the two of you shared, come rushing back. The small things that once seemed insignificant now carry weight, and each memory brings with it a profound sense of longing. They begin to wish they could turn back time, relive those moments, and fix what they let slip away. Nostalgia is a powerful force. It creates the illusion of a golden past, making everything seem perfect when it wasn't. For them, this longing can become a silent obsession, as they yearn not just for you, but for the version of themselves that existed when they were with you. But while they're lost in longing for what was, you're seeing everything from a completely different perspective. You've moved forward, and with that progress, you've gained clarity. The version of you that they miss has evolved. You've grown, and now you view the relationship through a more enlightened lens. You're not clinging to the past because you've learned something important. The past shapes you, but it doesn't define you. It's a chapter in your story, but now you're in a new one. Picture this. While they're stuck reminiscing about the shared moments, you're fully engaged in the present, creating new experiences, exploring new opportunities, and embracing the future. You don't look back because you understand that moving forward is where your power lies. The lessons from the past have fueled your growth, not anchored you to it. You see the past for what it truly was, an important chapter, but one that's closed. During this stage, nostalgia can be tricky for them, distorting their view. It can lead them to idealize the relationship, remembering only the good and ignoring why things didn't work out. But you've reached a level of wisdom that allows you to see the relationship as a whole, both the good and the bad. You've acknowledged the value of the memories without letting them hold you back. While they long for what's been lost, you're embracing the present and building a future that aligns with who you've become. You've realized that holding on to the past, no matter how cherished the memories, is not where you want to live. Your journey is one of forward motion, creating a life filled with purpose and growth, not being trapped in the memories of what once was. And as they continue to be consumed by nostalgia, longing for the days when you were always there, you remain steadfast in your newfound perspective. You're no longer defined by the relationship or by who you were back then. Your absence, once again, speaks volumes, not because you're hiding something, but because you've chosen to move forward with clarity and intention. This is where your true strength shines. While they are stuck looking back, your eyes remain fixed on the road ahead. You've learned that it's natural to look back on the past fondly, but you refuse to let it hold you down. Your power comes from knowing that your growth and your future matter far more than reliving old memories. Number 6. Desperation and acceptance. Their final move. Your ultimate choice. When desperation takes hold, their actions can become frantic. They might flood your phone with messages, pleading for another chance, or they might show up unexpectedly, making grand sweeping gestures in an attempt to win back your attention. Their desperation stems from a growing fear of losing you forever, a fear that has been simmering ever since they sensed you pulling away. This fear is born from panic, and they will do anything they believe might reverse the distance that has formed between you. But let's be clear, this kind of desperation doesn't often come from a place of true understanding or a desire to fix things in a meaningful way. It usually highlights the imbalance that has existed in the relationship all along. Their frantic efforts are not about truly grasping the root of the issue, but about filling the emotional void your absence has left behind. They are not trying to reconnect on equal ground. They are trying to regain control of a situation that feels like it's slipping away from them. On the other hand, there is a possibility that they may reach a place of acceptance. This is much harder for them, but it's far healthier. Acceptance means they finally understand that your decision to step back wasn't about punishing them, but about your own need for growth, self-respect, and clarity. They come to terms with the fact that no amount of desperate pleading or grand gestures can reverse the transformation that has already taken place. This acceptance is not about giving up. It's about acknowledging the fundamental change in the relationship and accepting that things will never be the same. It's realizing that your journey has led you in a different direction, and now they must navigate life without your constant presence. Acceptance requires strength on their part, as they relinquish the hope that things can return to how they once were. This is where you make the final choice. If they act out of desperation, you have to decide whether to engage or to maintain the boundaries you've set. Ask yourself, are their efforts truly about healing and repairing the relationship in a healthy way? Or are they simply trying to regain control because they fear your final absence? Your growth throughout this journey has taught you how to recognize the difference. And this is the moment where you must remain true to what aligns with your well-being and values. If they have reached a point of acceptance, your decision becomes clearer. You continue on your path with confidence, knowing that you've made the right choice for yourself. Their acceptance doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It means they've come to respect your choice and the strength it took to make it. It's an acknowledgement that they can no longer keep you in the same place you once were, and they understand that your journey is about something greater than the relationship. It's about you standing firm in your own power. So, whether they make one last move out of desperation or come to a place of quiet acceptance, your final decision remains the same. to honor the growth, clarity, and strength you've gained throughout this process. You've learned that your value is not tied to someone else's actions or decisions. This journey was never about them. It was always about you, discovering your inner strength and embracing the person you've become. As always, reaffirm this with a quiet determination. My absence will speak volumes. This is no longer about proving anything to them. It's about acknowledging the work you've done to reclaim your power and knowing that regardless of their final move, you've made the right choice for yourself. Number 7, realization of absence, their void, your empowerment. The realization of this truth can be profoundly shocking. Suddenly, what was once taken for granted becomes glaringly clear, leaving them feeling lost and deeply confused. As the old saying goes, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. This is the moment the truth collapses, hitting harder than they ever expected. Imagine this. They go about their day, following their usual routine, but something feels noticeably off. The small things they once brushed aside or overlooked now leave a significant void. The morning texts that used to start their day, the comfort of knowing you were always just a message or call away, it's all gone. And in its place is a gap they can't quite explain, but it lingers. They begin to realize how much your presence grounded them, how your energy brought warmth and stability to their life. But this is where the shift becomes crucial. While they struggle with this absence, fighting to fill the void your departure has created, you are experiencing something entirely different. Empowerment. The space you created by stepping back isn't just an empty void for them, it's an open door of opportunity for you. It's the space that allows you to breathe, to focus on your growth, and to redirect your energy into what truly matters: your life, your passions, and your happiness. No longer are you pouring all of yourself into someone who didn't fully appreciate it. Instead, you are investing that energy back into yourself. And in doing so, you begin to see what you have gained: clarity, strength, and independence. You've reclaimed your power. You've moved beyond needing their validation or approval to feel whole. And that shift is where real growth begins. Think of Eleanor Roosevelt's words: "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." By stepping back and no longer seeking their validation, you have reclaimed that consent. And with that, you've reclaimed your power. You are no longer defined by their expectations. You've turned all of your focus inward, and in doing so, you've become even more resilient and self-assured. While they are reeling from the emptiness of your absence, you are embracing the power that comes from it. This is your moment to rise, to step into the version of yourself that is no longer bound by anyone else's perception. You are showing that your worth was never contingent on someone else's recognition. You were always worthy, always strong. It just took this space for you to fully realize it. Your absence becomes a powerful reminder to them, a moment of clarity for them, but an even more profound moment of empowerment for you. You have stepped out of their story, and now you are writing your own. And as you move forward, you are no longer defined by their needs or expectations. You are defined by your own standards, goals, and path. This, my friends, is the essence of empowerment. Recognizing your worth, claiming your space, and owning your journey without being tethered to someone else's view of you. So while they sit with the realization of what they've lost, you stand firm in what you've gained, a life centered on your growth and self-worth. And in that, you've found your true strength. Number 8, growing insecurity, their fear, your clarity. They begin to notice that you're no longer as quick to respond as before, or perhaps you're not responding at all. Their mind starts racing with possibilities. Are you seeing someone else? Have you moved on? Have they been replaced? These questions start to chip away at their confidence. What was once a certainty, your attention and presence, has now become a mystery, and that uncertainty is terrifying to them. The more they think about it, the more insecure they become, doubting everything they once thought was solid. But while they are wrestling with these growing insecurities, you are experiencing something entirely different: clarity. By stepping back and refocusing on yourself, you've created the space necessary to gain a clearer perspective on what truly matters. You're no longer preoccupied with seeking their approval or worrying about how they perceive you. Instead, you've gained a deeper understanding of the situation, and more importantly, of your own value and priorities. As their insecurities grow, they may begin to act out. Perhaps they reach out more frequently, ask questions, seek reassurance, or even try to provoke a response in an effort to regain control. Maybe they send long emotional messages or show up unexpectedly, desperate for any sign that they still matter to you. But this is where your clarity becomes your greatest asset. You don't need to engage in their drama or feed into their insecurity. You've made the conscious decision to step back for your own well-being, and you're standing by that choice. You understand that their insecurity reflects their issues, not yours. It's important to remember that while they may be struggling with the fear of losing you, their emotions are not a reason for you to compromise your own growth. You've come too far to be pulled back into the old dynamics. This is where you have to stay firm in your resolve and let your actions speak louder than any words. As Confucius wisely said, "He who knows himself is enlightened." Your clarity is your strength, and it guides you through the noise of their insecurity. You no longer feel the need to chase validation or reassurance from them. You've shifted your focus inward, to your own journey, where you are building a life centered on your values and needs, not on anyone else's expectations. So as their fears grow and they become more desperate for your attention, you remain steady, focused, and confident in the path you've chosen. This is the moment when you affirm, with unwavering confidence, "My absence will speak volumes." You are no longer swayed by their insecurities because you found clarity in your own truth. And that, my friends, is the most powerful place you can be, standing strong in your own power while they face the reality that you've moved forward. In this moment, you're not just claiming your space, you're embodying the resilience and self-awareness that comes from truly knowing your worth. And that is a strength that no one can take from you. Number 9, reflection and regret. Their guilt, your growth. Imagine this. They begin replaying memories in their mind. The times you were there for them, supportive, loving, and present. They think back to the moments when they didn't appreciate your efforts, or worse, assumed you would always be there, no matter how little they gave in return. Now, in those quiet moments of reflection, that realization settles in like a heavy weight. It's the understanding that they let something truly meaningful slip away. Regret is a powerful emotion because it comes with the understanding that the past cannot be undone. They can't go back and fix the missed opportunities or rewrite the moments when they didn't show up. This regret becomes something they have to carry, a constant reminder that their choices led them to this point of loss. While they are consumed by this regret, you're experiencing something entirely different: growth. You took the time to step back, focus on yourself, and now you're seeing the results of that decision. You've become stronger, more confident, and more in tune with what you deserve in your relationships. Their regret is not a burden for you to carry, nor is it something for you to fix. It's something they need to reflect on and learn from, just as your growth is something you need to celebrate. Your focus remains forward, on your own journey. While they look back with remorse, you're building a future grounded in self-worth and clarity. The lessons you've learned have shaped you, but they no longer hold you back. You've let go of the need for their validation, and with that release, you've gained something even more valuable: freedom. The freedom to pursue the life you want, to grow without the weight of their regret dragging you down. As they reflect on their past mistakes, you're forging a brighter path for yourself, one that isn't bound by what could have been, but instead is filled with new opportunities and limitless potential. You're not weighed down by their guilt, nor are you held back by the past. You've embraced the lessons, and now you're moving forward with intention, confidence, and purpose. Number 10. Re-evaluation. Their realization, your reaffirmation. Imagine this. They sit in silence, reflecting on the journey they've experienced since you stepped back. For the first time, they see the patterns, the moments they took you for granted, the times they assumed you'd always be there no matter what. This reflection isn't just about the relationship itself. It's about their own behavior, their own shortcomings, and how they failed to nurture something valuable. They realize they weren't as present as they should have been, that they didn't invest as deeply as they could have, and that their lack of attention led to a permanent shift in the dynamic between you two. While they're going through this moment of realization, this is your moment of reaffirmation. You've taken this time to focus on yourself, becoming stronger, more self-aware, and more confident in who you are. As they come to terms with their role in the downfall, you reaffirm the decisions you made. You recognize that stepping back wasn't just a reaction to their behavior. It was a necessary act of self-preservation and growth. This is where you confirm once again that your worth was never tied to their recognition or understanding of your value. It has always existed, independent of their validation. Your journey of self-growth has led you to a place of strength and clarity, and you've learned that your progress is not something you're willing to compromise. As they struggle with the regret of what they've lost, this is when you stand firm in the path you've chosen for yourself. You realize that seeking their validation is no longer relevant because you've found it within yourself. Your value is intrinsic, and your growth speaks volumes. You've embraced the freedom and confidence that comes with knowing that your worth doesn't depend on anyone else's acknowledgement. In their moment of reevaluation, they may come to understand the weight of their mistakes, but for you, it's a moment of empowerment. You stand tall in what you've achieved, knowing that this journey has brought you to a place of clarity, self-respect, and resilience. Your path ahead is clear, and you're no longer looking for answers from them. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." You've found your why, the unshakable belief in your own worth, your own strength, and the life you're building for yourself. So, while they reflect on what they've lost, you remain steadfast in what you've gained. This is the time for you to reaffirm, with unwavering confidence, "My absence will speak volumes." Realizing this may be powerful for them, but the reaffirmation of your strength, your choices, and your value is even more profound. It's a testament to the incredible journey of growth you've undertaken and the strength you've discovered within yourself. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, remember that your growth and self-worth are the true measures of your journey. It's not about how they react, but how you continue to grow and evolve. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with those who need to hear it today. And always remember, my absence will speak volumes, because your strength, clarity, and confidence are what truly define who you are. Leave a comment if this message resonated with you, and if you've done so before, do it again. It really helps others who are on a similar path. Stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next video.